All right, friends and everyone who's online, we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. So, find a seat if you can, or especially if you're at home, I guess you could stand the whole time if you're at home. I don't care. But yeah, we'll be getting started in just a minute.
All right, Impact, how are we? Oh, there's like some response and cheering. That's always a good start. It's so good to see you all. So we're gonna do our rules real quick, which I know you know by now, but tonight's rules have a little bit of a twist, so you're gonna be excited. But the first one is we have to stay socially distant. So make sure you are 3 seats apart from people. There are some people that are not 3 seats apart. Just you might want to fix that real quick. Make sure you are 3 seats apart. You're sitting where there is a Bible. That's where you want to be hanging out. But if you look up here, it's like a cow apart or 3 armadillos or, 4 dancing penguins. That's pretty cool. So 3 seats apart. Make sure you're doing that. Also, the second rule has to do with your masks. If you look up on our screen, you're going to see some people. We have Megan Fox. We have Harry Styles. Harry Styles, right? Oh my gosh. I've freaked out for a second thinking it was not. Okay, anyways. And Ben Affleck. You don't want to wear a mask like Megan Fox. She may be cool because she has toe thumbs. Toe thumb crew. You know what a toe thumb? Never mind. Toe thumbs. They're thumbs that look like toes. They're real. I have them. And so does Megan Fox, but she doesn't know how to wear a mask. And Harry Styles isn't looking very stylish there, and he's not wearing it right. But if you look at Ben Affleck, he's got it right. So you want to be like this Ben Affleck. You don't. So Ben Affleck walking his dog, not Batman. He's wearing that all sorts of wrong. He's covering, he's doing the opposite of what is right. And we all know how Ben Affleck was as Batman, so you just really don't want to be like that dude. You want to be like normal, everyday Ben Affleck. Got it? That's how you wear your mask. So now that we're done with the rules, we're going to talk about some exciting things. This Sunday, December 20th, during our 10 a.m. service, you are all invited to come here because we are going to have a Mike-approved Christmas party, and it's going to be a ton of fun, and we're going to celebrate Mike because this is his last Sunday with us here on staff. So make sure you're here, and the way it's going to work, you're going to go to the adult auditorium for worship. They're going to dismiss you, and then you and all the Elevate students will come in here, and we are going to celebrate Mike. There'll be games, a ton of fun things, so be there. But then also, I don't know, those of you on YouTube, I don't know if you can see, you can join us virtually, but over here we have a cool little poster canvas thing that has a picture of Mike, and we are going to all sign it in silver Sharpie, but make sure, don't write on Mike, write around him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want, your name tattooed on his arm on the canvas, because that'd be a little weird. So just write around him, and that way it looks cool. So you guys can sign that after small groups tonight, and then we'll also have it on Sunday. And those of you at home, if you're not able to come, type your name in the chat, and we will sign it for you. That way your name is on there. So then, just to kind of let you know what this holiday season is looking like here at Student Ministries, this is our last impact on Tuesday night for the rest of 2020. So there will be no impact on the 22nd, 29th, or January 5th. This Sunday, we're going to have the Mike Approved Christmas party, which you want to be there. And then we're hoping that we're going to be back. We're planning on being back January 12th here, 7 p.m. It's a Tuesday. Sound good? And speaking of holiday schedule, I don't know how many of you have been checking out our Instagram lately, but we've been having this super fun thing going on where we have been voting on what's the best Christmas movie of all time. So right now, do you have your phones? Pull it out. I'm going to pull mine out too. And we're going to go to Instagram. You're going to go to WCL_impact. And we are going to vote on what we think is the best Christmas movie ever. Is it Elf or is it Home Alone? Yell it to me. You are all saying Elf? What is wrong with you? You had a weird childhood. It is Home Alone, 100%. It is, anyways, whatever. Pull out your phones and you're going to vote right now. But here's the thing. If we can get 200 people, so that means you need to be talking to your friends, right now too, and tell them to vote on which oh man, there are so many words to this. Which Christmas movie is the best Christmas movie? If we get 200 votes, there will be something super special for all of you at the Christmas party on Sunday. So you vote right now. I hope you did. I think I got some notifications that people were voting. Oh man, it's getting intense. So make sure you vote, talk to your friends. We need 200 votes. Do you want something like fun and special at the party? I guess none of you do. It's just silence out there. Nathan does. So Nathan, go talk to all 200 of your friends and tell them to vote. So that's about it for announcements. But tonight, Josh is going to wrap up our Christmas series. He's going to be talking about some good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and pray for him and his teach, and then we'll dive in. So God, I just thank you so much for this time. I love being able just to come together and be impact as one on Tuesdays, God. I pray that you be with Josh tonight and speak through him as he teaches about just how incredible you are and how where we are at, we have a choice to make. And God, we are expectant and we're ready for your spirit just to move here in this room. And I just thank you so much and be with us tonight. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Impact. Okay, I have missed you people. I have been gone for the last 2 weeks, which literally meant that I sat around and did nothing. Well, that's not actually true. I actually did a lot. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. So my wife and I, we let advertising take hold of our lives, and we did the thing where we bought the thing because we saw the commercial like 1,000 times, and we bought one of those Peloton bikes for our basement. It's really cool, except you have to use it. But every week of the last 2 weeks, I rode over 2 weeks. I rode 200 miles, and then went upstairs. So it was okay, it was fine. Let me think. What else? No, that was it. That was literally all I did because it feels like there's not much to do, right? It feels like it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, and people. Has anybody asked you recently, what's new? And you're like, really? Are you for real right now? You're going to ask me what's new? Or when I have an uncle who always asks, he's like, so what's exciting? And I'm like, And I always have to, I always have to be like, nothing, because that's how he asked me, and it's like, there's really nothing exciting. But I do want to tell you actually something exciting that I did do once. Maybe that helps. I once had the opportunity and took the opportunity to jump out of an airplane. And it was fantastic. I have proof. There it is. Right there. Yeah. Here's the thing. It is the coolest thing ever. What you do is they show you this video that takes about 30 minutes to watch, and it's this guy wearing, he's not wearing, I think he grew a beard that's about this long, and it literally takes him 30 minutes to be like, you might die. You just might die. And if you die, it's on you, and that's the whole thing. It's like, we cannot be held liable for if you fall and, Wile E. Coyote onto the ground. That's just the way it works. But then after that, we get in this plane. And we get going, and we're flying. It's a very small plane. First of all, it's the smallest plane I've ever been on. I do not like small planes. I like very, very large planes. But it's very small, and it's shaking the whole way. And what's really different about this plane is that instead of a door, it has a garage door that opens up. And so when this gentleman, to whom I am strapped, when he was like, "Okay, it's our turn," and I was like, huh? Oh, gosh. And it was in that moment, there was nothing I could do to be like, oh, I am ready. It was just like, this guy's jumping out of a plane, and I am attached to him. And so it's like, well, I got to either decide, am I going to do this, or am I going to be that guy who just, freaks out and says, no. And so I'm like, no, I'm just doing it. And we were sitting there, and it was so funny because he's like, okay, are you, we're sitting on the edge. And this is, again, awkward because I have not, can I just be honest with you? It's been a long time since I've sat on a grown man's lap. I feel like when I was, when you go to see Santa Claus at the mall, it was probably the last time, so when I was 17 or 18. But no, so when I was, you would go to the mall. Don't lie to me right now. go, right? But so we're sitting on the edge of the plane, and our legs are literally dangling. Well, okay, he's sitting on the edge of the plane, I'm sitting on him, and our legs are dangling over the edge of the plane, and he's just like, well, here we go, and woo! And it was, oh my goodness, it was crazy. Like for the first 3 seconds, you realize you're falling, and then you don't feel like you're falling anymore, but you are moving very fast. Like there was a point where it entered my mind that I am falling faster than I can run. And then it was like, I am falling faster than I can drive. And I'm like, oh no, if I hit the ground going faster than I can drive, this is a real problem. But then the chute opened and it was incredible. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever done. That being said, has anyone else in the room ever done this? Is anybody? It is illegal for most of you. Yeah, if you're a minor and you just admitted to it, yeah. Does anybody want to do it? Yeah, okay, so there are a bunch of you that want to do it. Now, here's the problem with this. Me telling you about it is great, except it doesn't help, at all. If you came in tonight and you're like, there's really one thing I want to do with my life. I want to jump out of an airplane. And then I get up here and I'm like, I've done it. It's awesome. And then you're like, good, that's good for me. Thanks. And you're like, wait, no, there's no way me telling you about me jumping out of an airplane is good enough. There's just a point, right, where you got to do it yourself, and there's a reason for that, right? Because there's some things in life that just can't be explained. They have to be experienced, right? We have to, and I think it's just part of who we are, the kind of people that we are, how our brains work, when you're jumping out of an airplane, it's not just your brain, it's like your gut, because your stomach goes up into it's like you're freaking out, but you're very excited about it at the same time. It's like, I'm gonna die! That's the only time that you should ever be that excited about almost dying. And, it's just, there's something about the way that we're wired that hearing about someone doing something, it may make us want to do that thing more, but there's never a point where you're just like, oh, I get it now, because you haven't been there, because you haven't done it, right? And so we're in the middle of Christmas, right? And I feel like Christmas is one of those times where we have a lot of things that we all know. We have a lot of things that we all do. We have a lot of traditions. We have a lot of things that we celebrate, and it's just kind of part of the time. It's just kind of how it works, and it's just built into how we experience Christmas. But there was a time where Christmas hadn't happened yet, and that's a couple thousand years ago. And so let's go back on a journey. Right? A journey back a couple thousand years ago, and you've got Mary and Joseph. Joseph is her fiance, not married yet, right? And suddenly Mary, who is not married to Joseph, says, hey, we need to talk. And I feel like that's the first time that sentence has ever really been ever said, and it meant something more than just, we done. It's like, hey, oh, no, we really need to talk. This is a big one. I got some baby that I'm going to have, but don't worry. And I love how it's like, oh, but don't worry, it's cool. And Joseph is losing his mind, absolutely losing his mind. Because back then, this is not just... It's not just bad. It's not just that people are going to be mad at them or that people are going to look down on them. There's a real chance that Mary could be killed for this, and there's a real chance that Joseph, everybody's, okay, I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a situation where something happened and people jump to their own conclusions. I know that doesn't happen in high school, right? Where people are like, I know the truth, right? But imagine these two, they love each other, they want to marry each other, and then suddenly she's pregnant. Uh-oh. That doesn't just look bad for Mary, it looks bad for Joseph. It's not going to end well for anybody, right? So Joseph's like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and call this whole thing off, but I'm going to do it in a respectful way, where, and respectful is just code for people are not going to kill her, which is slightly different from the definition of respectful we would use today. But then an angel comes to Joseph and he's like, no, this is cool. The baby that is growing inside of Mary is the very Son of God. He's going to save us all. And you need to marry her, and you need to love her, and you need to take care of that kid. And Joseph manned up. Right? And he's like, okay, all right, you know what? I don't get it, I'm in, right? So then, of course, like all good things, the government steps in and decides, hey, we're going to take a census. And what that means is everyone needs to go back to the town, not that they're from, but that their ancestors are from. If all of us in this room were to decide to go back to the town where our ancestors are from, I don't know. I have no idea where mine would, I don't know. I don't know. We've tried. I don't know. And so, but for them, they have to go to Bethlehem, and nothing says to love and to cherish like taking your 9-month pregnant wife, or future wife, on a camel ride or a donkey ride, neither are good, through the desert to a town that is also in the desert, only to get there and to find out that there are no rooms at the inn. And that's a really fancy way for, because you got to figure, if Joseph is going there because that's where his family is from, then all of the rest of Joseph's family is also going there. So they have rooms. And that means that Joseph's family is like, hey, you can't stay here. Oh, great. So it's not just the innkeeper who's being a jerk. It's all of Joseph's family. Like, they are being shunned. It's a whole thing, right? And then the baby is born. And it is wild that we celebrate this. Like, that this is the thing. This is the moment that history changes, that everything in the world changes. And then something happens. And so if you have a Bible, I want you to turn to Luke chapter 2. If I'm guessing off the top of my head, it's page 805. If I'm guessing. It could be 805. I think it is. If you're using the one that's on the chairs. If you're using your own, you're on your own. But yeah, we'll start in verse 8. This is pretty cool. So imagine, that whole thing has happened. Mary and Joseph are now trying to figure out what in the world do we do with a baby that just got born in a barn. How do we do this? Right? And it says, in the same region, there were shepherds out in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night, and an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were filled with great fear. Duh. Right? No joke. Like, that is like, okay, you're out there. There are no lights out there because that's not how electricity works, or it just wasn't invented yet. And suddenly, whoa! Giant golden dude in the sky. Like, there's this is noticeable. It's very, and he's terrified. They're like, the shepherds are absolutely terrified. And it says, and the angel said to them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. For unto you this day in the city of David a Savior, for unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in swaddling cloths lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God and saying, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among those with whom he is pleased. This is wild. Like, this is, life as a shepherd is not boring, but it's also not like the most exciting thing in the world. Like, you have a job. You take care of sheep. Sometimes that means you have to defend them. Sometimes you got to go find them. And I mean, so they're the thing. But this is not on the job description. Like, this is not like, oh, yeah, every once in a while the sky will part open and there will be 1,000 guys look like they're on fire, but don't worry, they're singing. And they're telling you not to be afraid, even though you're going to be afraid. Like, that's not no one thought that this was how this was going to go down. But it does. This is exactly what happens. And what's really interesting is I feel like the shepherds at this point have a very significant choice to make that is not too dissimilar from the choice I had to make while sitting on a guy who was sitting on the edge of a plane. It is like, okay, it is do or die. There are really only two options here. We got to do something or do nothing. Right? Because they could have been just like, sheep, right? And they just go take care of their sheep. Or they could be like, well, we probably ought to figure out what that was about. And that's exactly what they do. Because if you continue, it says in verse 15, when the angels went away from them into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, let us go over to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has made known to us. And so they do that, which... imagine what it would be like for them to be like, hey, the angel said there's a baby that was born in a manger, which is weird because that's where donkeys and camels and everything they eat from. So like I immediately, having had a small child of my own who is now a very not small child, if I was to find out that my small child had been placed in a manger for any period of time, my first thought is, ooh, that baby might be in danger. There might be a donkey about to eat a baby. Like that, this is at least, at minimum, this is something I want to see. I want to see a baby in a manger. I really do. But then take that to like the billionth degree, because the only reason they know about this baby in the manger is because of angels all throughout the sky. And they are at a point where they're like, you know what we got to do? We got to go see it. We got to go see this baby. We got to go see what's happening. And can you imagine on their way there the questions that they have? Who's this baby? Why do the angels care? Babies get born. That's how they work. I don't know. This is not an unusual thing, but for some reason, there's something special about this baby. And they decide, hey, I've got a million questions, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go find out. And they find the baby in a manger, wrapped in swaddling cloths. They find Mary. They find Joseph. They see everything just like the angel said. And now can you imagine them trying to explain this to Joseph and Mary? They're like, that's the baby. And Mary's like, yeah, duh. And he's like, no, you don't get it. The guy up in the air told me about it. Okay, please take 4 steps back from my baby. At that point, it's like, you know what, maybe it's time for you to go. It's like, no, it was awesome. God sent them. And just imagine this whole thing that goes back and forth. And I wonder if there are times where we might actually find ourselves in a similar situation where we have to decide how we are going to respond to the Christ child that was born in a manger that night. Are we going to hear about him and say, cool, sheep? Or are we going to hear about him and be like, I have a million questions. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go find him. I'm gonna go find that kid. I'm gonna go find that child. I'm gonna go find that God. And I think we have to choose between those two. And so for us, and what I would encourage you to do, when confronted with the reality of the Christ child, I would tell you to do the same thing that the angels told the shepherds to do, is go see for yourself. Go see for yourself. No, nobody's stopping you, just like nobody was stopping them. Have you ever had an opportunity to go do something awesome and then you chickened out and then you regretted it and you're like, man, I wish I would have done that. Or maybe you had the opportunity to do something completely mundane, like it was not even important, but then you found out that had you gone, Kanye was there. It's like those weird things. You're like, what? It's like, what? And you missed out. Sorry, you missed out. And I think the shepherds had an opportunity to do something, and they chose not to miss out. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Choose not to miss out. And so there's some questions. How do we do this? What do we need to do? And the first thing that you absolutely need to do is keep showing up. I say that, for you here, Impact, for those of you guys that are home, for you watching and being a part, for those of you that are in, I know there's a couple small groups that will watch this later in the week. Keep showing up. Keep being here. And I'm not saying that there's anything. I'll tell you, there is something special about Impact. There is something special about being here. But there's something special about it because it's us together. Keep showing up here. Second thing that you need to do is ask a question. man, again, the questions the shepherds probably had for each other going on, it's just like, what do you think we're going to find? How's it going to be? I don't know. Are we just going to walk into a barn and ask for a baby? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Like, how weird those questions are, but now in hindsight, how much sense it made. I would guess that whether you are absolutely brand new to the faith or whether you have been a Christian for your entire life or anywhere in between, you probably still have questions. Can I be honest with you? I have questions still. I can choose whether to ask those questions or to ignore those questions. I want to encourage you to do what I am trying to do and to keep asking. Keep asking questions. Third thing that you can do, right? Make a decision, right? Because at the end of the day, when we ask questions and we either find answers or we don't find answers, at some point it leads to a fork in the road that we have to decide. Shepherds get there, and can you imagine one of the shepherds being like, I don't think it's the right baby. Right now, because that's ridiculous, right? Because there's no other reason for a baby to be in a manger in a barn, but in Bethlehem and all. Like it makes no sense. But those shepherds very easily could have walked away, and so regardless of how you respond, I want you to know that making no decision is a decision. Right? Walking away is a decision. Saying nothing is saying something. It just is. And here's where I feel like what we do actually really well in the church in general is we do some of these things, right? We show up. We're here. But we don't ask questions. We don't ask questions. We don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to make waves. I want to challenge you that if you show up and you have questions, but you don't ask questions, you're never going to find the answers that you need. And when you never find the answers that you need, you can never get to the point to where you can make the decisions that will mean something. Or, you know what, some of us, we show up and we ask questions, and then we refuse to take a step further. Like we refuse to make a decision. We refuse to draw a line in the sand and cross it. Like we refuse. That's so sad. I'm just going to be real honest. That is sad to me. I don't know if it's because of fear. I don't know if it's because of wanting to fit in or what it is. But to get to the point to where we know that a decision needs to be made and then we take a step backward instead of forward, it's so sad. I think another mistake that we make is we don't show up. We have a ton of questions, but then we have no one to ask. Except the internet. God help us all, right? Because we do. We end up, what we do, right, when we don't show up, but we have tons of questions and we just start asking questions, we get into what we call an echo chamber, where we really are only hearing our own voice bouncing back at us. And we'd be like, well, I don't even know if he's real. And then suddenly, I don't even know if he's real. It's like, I agree. It's like, that was my own voice. Like, that's how that kind of thing works. It doesn't. But here's the deal. If you are willing to show up, which I think you are, I think you are. I think you're willing to show up. I know that you have questions. I would love for you to ask them. And I would love for that to lead to decisions. But here's what's really cool. You can make decisions while you still have questions. Can I be real honest with you that I don't know how I feel. I know how I feel about Jesus. But there are times, even recently, that the church, and I'm not even saying Willow, I'm saying church as a whole, I feel like it's kind of let me down a little bit. Like, I feel like there's a point where we're not as inclusive as we should be. I feel like we don't always value others like we should. And that leads me to questions. Why not? Is it because of Jesus? I don't think so. But what do I do with that? And so suddenly those questions, it's just like, what do I do with that? The worst thing you can do with that is take a step back, hold those questions in, and never get an answer. What I hope you do, and what I'm trying to do every day, is to step forward into those questions, to lean in, to make those questions very clear, and just search and work like crazy to find answers. So here's what I want from you. What you got, right? On your chair, you got a little card. And the exercise I would love for us to walk through is I want us to gain a better understanding of our own relationship with Jesus and where we're at. And so I'm going to ask you to actually start in the middle, right? In the middle, it asks the question, when it comes to my relationship with Jesus, where am I at right now? And that, I think, like, is actually probably the easiest one for us to answer, is like, oh, hey, you know what, where am I at today, December 15th, where am I at? You can make a list, like adjectives. You can write it out as a story. You can draw it as a comic. You can, whatever you want to do. Then work your way backward and say, okay, but where was I? And now this is where it'll get interesting, because for some of us that are new to the faith, we could say, hey, I believe now, but before I didn't. And you see this like, whoa, you're on an upward trajectory, like things are looking great. Some of us will say, you know, I believe, but not like I used to. And it's like, oh, why is it going on? Why is this happening? And then, what I want to encourage you to do is, over on the other side, is where do I hope to be? Because that's the one that we actually have a lot of control over. We have a lot of control over that. So in a moment, we're just going to give you some time. Don't feel like you got to hurry. And I know for some of you, this may be like, I got nothing. I don't know. In this time, we'll actually have some scriptures that are just shown on the screen if you're having trouble or if you finished or whatever. These scriptures are ones that I've found helpful in trying to figure out what is it that how am I experiencing my relationship with Christ now, and how do I want to? So maybe take a minute and just read a few of them as they go by. Maybe on the back of the card, you know what a really good thing, what questions do you have? I said, I got plenty of them. Plenty of them, and my guess is so do you. But if you think about them, and maybe write them down, and maybe you have a better chance of actually asking them. But then as the scriptures go by on the screen, I just want to encourage you just to sit in the moment. Maybe say, is there something God is trying to tell you about where he wants you to be? And my hope for you is that where you hope to be is better than where you are, and that you can actually see that as a hopeful thing, as a good thing. So let's do that now. And then in a few minutes, I'll come back up and we'll pray together. right, Impact, if you're taking your time, no worries. No rush. I think one of the best things we can ever do is understand where we're at and where we hope to be. And one of the easiest ways we can do that is by maybe understanding where we've been. But I will tell you, I fully believe that each of you individually and us as Impact find ourselves in a similar situation to those shepherds standing on the hillside. We have to decide. You know the story. You know that the baby was born. You know that he is the Christ. And you get to choose. Do you walk away, or do you ask your questions? And do those questions lead you to actions, and those actions lead you to decisions? I believe with everything in me that I believe that if you are willing to use the voice that God gave you and to use the feet that God gave you, the future of this group is better. It's better than anything we've written. And I think that when we do that, the future of each of us in this group is better than anything we've written. I want to pray for you that hope, the hope that you've described, will turn into a decision that you chase after. And I want you to know that we want to be here for you, to cheer you on, to encourage you to keep going, and to catch you when you fall. And I want you to know that you are going to be loved all the way through it. By us, and by the very same God that sent his son to be that baby in that manger, in that desert. Let me pray for you. Heavenly Father God, thank you for Impact. Thank you for us as a group. Thank you for us as a family. And thank you for every individual member of this group. Thank you that every single one of us has a past that is different from everyone else's. Thank you that every single one of us finds ourselves in a very different now than everyone else. And thank you that as we look to the future of what our relationship with you could look like, that's different too. But God, there's something about a group of your people deciding to chase after hope. I got to believe that when we do that the same thing will happen when those shepherds did the exact same thing, that the world changes and that our lives change. So God, when we think of where we are at today, may we be honest with ourselves. When we think about the past, may we not sugarcoat it. May we not try and make it look better than it really was. But God, when we look to the future, when we look toward what we hope our relationship with you might look like after today, may that hope become a reality because we are willing to ask our questions and we are willing to make our decisions. And God, may we never turn our back on those decisions. Thank you that we get to be in a place where those questions are welcome and where those decisions are encouraged. God, we love you. Thank you for Impact. Thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. It's in his name we pray. Amen. All right. All right, Impact, here's the deal. Like Hannah said, this is our last Tuesday night of the year. So we are going to spend some time in our small groups. I will ask you after your small groups, be sure to sign the poster there for Mike. And remember, Sunday, 10 o'clock, we'll start in the adult service for worship. They'll dismiss everybody, and then it is going to be a party. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be kind of a sad awesome, but we're also going to make it a fun awesome, all right? That's how it's going to go. All right, if you know where your group is meeting, why don't you go ahead and find the right place to be. If you don't know where to go, find Hannah toward the back. Those of you that are at home, we've got the link to the Zoom in the chat. We'll get you the password. You just need to text your small group leader to figure out how to get in. Hey, know that we love you. We'll see you soon.